Day 3 of New Orleans Saints training camp, and according to head coach Sean Payton, the Saints got better today. Welcome everyone to the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. I'm Caroline Gonzalez, and we have our on-site analyst and John DeShazier there at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center. JD, like I said, according to head coach Sean Payton, things were competitive out there on the field today. What did you see?
Well, he made no specific mention of me. However, I got better today also. I thought today was another good day for the defense. They've had 3 solid practices, and I understand that it is preseason practice and you don't want to invest too much emotion into it. And yet, this is where you start to get together those days that combine to make you a good defense. You've got to start the building process somewhere. It begins in training camp against one of the best offenses in NFL history. And so I think they put together another solid day that they should feel pretty good about and that they can build off.
Well, Payton talked about creating a competitive environment there at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center earlier today.
Well, look, we're just needing to get a lot of these competitive periods because, they're going to have to some degree, take the place of some of the preseason snaps that young players have a chance to turn heads or make an impression. So every day we're in periods or having periods with a live element to them that matter, because that's part of the evaluation. And if you're a younger player trying to make a roster, you've got to somehow or another, you got to make sure they know who your name is. And so we've got to give them those opportunities, and we've got to embrace that competition.
All right, it's the second day that we've talked about running back Ty Montgomery. He has stood out certainly for the Saints the past few days. He spoke earlier today about needing to win every rep that he takes in practice.
Very competitive atmosphere. Guys are just trying to, like I said, just trying to win their one-on-one battles, just competing every single day, because that's what it comes down to on Sundays, whether it's man coverage, zone covers. You got to beat the guy. So boys out here really competing, even on special teams. You get one rep at it, and you got to win. So very competitive atmosphere.
JD, on the defensive side of the ball, Malcom Jenkins was a name that I heard a lot today for his leadership. What did you see out of him, and what have you expected out of Malcom Jenkins and his addition to the Saints team?
Well, that's exactly the thing. He's a veteran player, but he wasn't just brought back to lead a young secondary. Malcom can still ball. He can still produce, and we've seen some of that in practice. He is a lively body, but he also is there for that knowledge that he talked about. I mean, he's a guy who can align a defense, get his teammates in the proper position to make plays, and that's critical. I mean, it's not as if the Saints don't have some playing experience in that secondary. Obviously, Marshawn Lattimore and Marcus Williams have played a lot of football, but to have that veteran set of eyes that has seen everything that an NFL offense can throw at you is very, very helpful in certain situations. And so, he can sniff things out, position his teammates properly, and hopefully get them in position to make some game-changing plays.
Well, Jenkins spoke earlier today about the caliber of talent that this Saints team has.
Stepping back into the Saints facility, the organization has been very nostalgic for me, obviously being the place that I started at. But this is probably the most talented team I've been a part of since the 2017 Eagles team. And I told everybody when I stepped in, it was very apparent very early. I'm like, I don't understand how you guys haven't won a Super Bowl in the last 3 seasons. There's just that much talent, on the roster. And so as a leader, it's just looking at how do we not mess this up? How do we continue to keep guys engaged and motivated and constantly striving to compete and improve and grow? And I think that's the largest part, is how do we get over that hump? And I know that's one of the roles that I was brought here to produce. So that's really what I'm focused on now.
All right, don't go anywhere. You're watching the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. When we come back, we'll touch on wide receiver Bennie Fowler and just what he's bringing to the Saints roster. Welcome back into the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. I'm Caroline Gonzalez. We have our on-site reporter at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center in John DeShazier. JD, a new addition for this team, Bennie Fowler, wide receiver that has spent a few years in the league. Obviously a unique way that he came to the team. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Well, he was participating in a workout with Drew Brees and Emmanuel Sanders, and basically he was kind of an add-in. Drew Brees went to Colorado to kind of work out Emmanuel, and Emmanuel says, hey, I got a buddy here who also might be able to work out with us. So, can he come and join in? And, of course, Brees being the guy that he is, says, yeah, bring him along. And, next thing you know, Bennie Fowler is here.
Absolutely. Well, Drew Brees and Bennie Fowler spoke about how this all came about earlier this week.
You know what? I just wanted an opportunity to get in front of Drew. So Emmanuel invited me, so I decided to go out there. And, a couple routes in, he asked me if I was on a team. And I was like, no, I'm not on a team right now because of COVID. I haven't had a chance to work out with anybody or travel to any teams. And he was like, I'm going to call our guys right after this. And, I was like, okay, so we'll see. And then, I think my agent maybe called me like a day or two later and said, yeah, Drew really did call about you. And whatever you did, you must have really impressed him. And to get in front of a Hall of Fame quarterback, even just to catch passes from him, if nothing came out of it, I learned a lot from him, and I'm glad that it did, come to this, to where they reached out to me and signed me, and they just said once training camp starts, we'll bring you in for a workout, and then we ended up they just ended up signing me because Drew vouched for me so hard.
Obviously, his size and physical skills I think are unique for a receiver. Benny's about 6'1", 6'2", over 200 pounds, so he's big, strong, powerful. The way he ran routes, you could tell there was a veteran nature to, he had an understanding of concepts and, how to get open and what to do at the top of the route, how to get separation, just some of the little things that, typically it takes younger receivers a while to learn and understand at this level. He's a guy who, came in as an undrafted free agent, so, we say that he came in the hard way, right? He's had to earn it each and every year. Has had to play a ton of special teams. So to me, those guys are just football players. They're football players. Whatever you need for them to do, they're willing to step in and do it. And at times, that's the dirty work, So I know he's done a lot of good things in the league. He certainly earned the position that he has right now. And I like seeing guys like that succeed. And I loved just the time that we had together during the offseason and felt like he would be a great addition. To our team, and listen, we've got some young receivers too that are battling, but at the very least, bring him in and let's see how this competition plays out.
All right, don't go anywhere. You're watching the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. When we come back, we'll hear from Saints safety Malcom Jenkins and what he thinks about the Saints secondary going into this year. Welcome back into the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. I'm Caroline Gonzalez. Safety for the Saints, Malcom Jenkins, spoke earlier today about how Marshawn Lattimore and Jackrabbit Jenkins are among the best tandem of cornerbacks that he's ever played with.
For me, and without knocking anybody I've played with, I don't think I've played with a tandem, who are both as talented as Marshawn and Janoris. Just, Janoris being a veteran who can run with anybody, can change direction and cover anybody, and who I think is really motivated and hungry right now. To watch him just in practice against our receivers has been impressive. And then I think Marshawn, really can be the best corner in this league. It's just about, consistency and really bringing that out of him. But he's been locked in and focused. And I think he knows that everybody expects him to be the best on every single play. And so being able to have that talent on the outside as a safety lends to a lot of freedom and a lot of ability to manipulate the defense and make plays. So I'm very, very excited, for anybody. Anytime you get two corners like that as a safety and as a pass rusher, you get excited because there's more opportunity to make plays.
JD, obviously you're our eyes and ears there at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center. What did you see that was so special out of Jackrabbit Jenkins and Marshawn Lattimore today?
Well, you see their coverage ability. That's what jumps off the page for both of those guys. They are outstanding individual coverers, and that's even when the Saints are, in their one-on-one drills, and the receiver basically has the whole feel where he's able to operate, and the cornerbacks, doing a whole lot of guessing and a whole lot of technique. And you see those two guys continue to make outstanding plays, whether it be pass breakups or just, finding a way to make sure that the football ends up on the ground instead of in a receiver's hands. Of course, they get beat in some of those situations. That's going to happen to the best of them. But for the most part, they've done their share of shutting guys down.
All right, JD, before I let you go, as always, do you have any plays or players that especially stood out to you today at practice?
Well, the guy who's really been standing out for me, and I thought he would if he was healthy, is linebacker Alex Anzalone. He came up with a great interception today, a great vertical leap from him on a Drew Brees pass. He comes down with it clean. He's got good hands. We know that if he's healthy, he can perform for this team. That's really the only obstacle, because if he's healthy, he's going to start at linebacker. He started, he played all 16 games a couple of years ago. He started. He was responsible for an interception, fumbles forced, fumble recoveries. He's a guy who is around the football when he's on the field. So he just needs to have that most important ability, which is availability, on display this season. Because again, we know when he's on the field, he's going to perform well. We've seen it so far here in this training camp. He's one of the guys who Coach Sean Payton talked about today. Said he really stood out. He liked the way he's gained weight and the way he's carrying that weight, and mostly the way he's practicing so far. So he'd be my guy. If we had a player of the day, he'd be my guy.
All right, thanks, JD, so much for your analysis. That'll do it for today's New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. We will be back tomorrow on Friday with another edition. Thanks so much.